everybody. Welcome to episode 4 of Christmas at Home with Edmund. As you can see, today we're in the kitchen. Now, besides from getting to be able to perform for you guys, one of my very favorite things to do for the holidays is to bake some cookies. So I've been busy baking all week and I've made about, 7 different types of cookies. But I've saved my very favorite for last because it's my grandmother's Biscotti recipe. This recipe came with her when she moved to the United States in the 40s. She was born on the island of Ischia, which is a tiny island off the coast of Naples, Italy. And I love this recipe so much. My grandmother write this down in the 70s, and that's the recipe I'm going to share with you today. Now, I don't know about you guys, but we got this incredible snowstorm here last week. Can you see this outside? It's truly a marshmallow world. So it's perfect for baking cookies, which are going to make the house smell good when you're locked inside because of all the snow. And also the oven running warms up the house too. It's a 2-for-1. Now first, a little history about biscotti. The word biscotto in Italian actually refers to any kind of baked cookie. Biscotto, or as the Brits like to say, biscuit. Now here in the United States, we use the word biscotti to refer to a very specific kind of cookie. It's that oblong sliced cookie, often with nuts, or now it's got all sorts of variations. Now the word biscotto derives from a Latin root which means twice baked, which is indeed what happens with these cookies. And that explains why they're so very crunchy and perfect for dipping in a cup of coffee. Biscotti got a little played out during the 1990s. They were just a little too prevalent, and I think they got a little too sweet, and the recipes varied a little bit too much from the original. So that's why I'm so excited to share with you today my grandmother's very authentic, very Italian, and very Christmassy biscotti recipe. These cookies are heavily spiced, they're very dense, and it's perfect because you get to have one and you feel like you've had your sweet fix. You don't have to keep on binge eating these cookies. So check it out and let's bake some biscotti. Okay, so to start we're going to take 5 eggs, pour those into your mixer. We're going to take 2 tablespoons of brandy. Should have poured one for myself. And we're going to take 2 cups of sugar. So we're going to beat these together until it's nice and creamy looking. Shouldn't take too long. That brandy floating up smells delicious. Okay, so now I've got my separate bowl, and we're going to mix together our dry goods. We're going to start by sifting 4 cups of flour. Hey, it's snowing again. Yeah, I didn't start making these cookies until I was about 18. I'd always grown up having them, and honestly, they're very different than American cookies. You got your chocolate chip and snickerdoodles and all that kind of thing, and biscotti seemed, outside of the orbit of what cookies should be to me when I was a kid. And now I freaking love these cookies. It's not Christmas if I don't make these, so. And done. Okay, so now for what makes these biscotti really interesting. We're going to get into the spices. First things first, we're going to use 4 teaspoons of baking powder. Not soda, baking powder. In it goes. And we're going to do a 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon. And this is really interesting. We're doing a 1/2 teaspoon of mace. When I started making these cookies when I was 18, I didn't know what the heck mace was. But it turns out it's the outer shell of nutmeg. It smells a lot like nutmeg, but I'd say maybe a little bit sweeter and a little bit softer of a flavor. It kind of rounds out the edges a little bit, and it's delicious in these cookies. A 1/2 teaspoon of ground cloves. And a 1/2 teaspoon of nutmeg. Now I'm going to get out a fork and give these all a nice whir to mix them together. I wish you could smell it. It's just that holiday spice smell that is so good in cookies. Alright, now it's pretty mixed. So now, bit by bit, we're going to add this back into the egg and sugar brandy mixture. All right, that's enough. Do any of y'all have the cover guard for your KitchenAid? I need to get one, but for now, it's my hands to keep that flour from flying up and getting everywhere. Add in a little bit more. I'd love to say at this time too, thank you so much for everybody who has checked out my album, Christmas at Home, this holiday season. Or you've liked or shared my videos or bought my album. It means so much to me, and I hope it's made your holidays just a little bit brighter and a little bit happier in this unusual Christmas holiday time. So thank you so much. Okay, it's starting to firm up and really feel like dough. Okay, that looks pretty well mixed. And I love it because you get these little flecks of the spices throughout the dough and it just looks so rich. Now we're going to add in kind of the fun stuff. We're doing a cup of candied fruit, which, I die for this stuff. And it looks so festive too, the red and the green, the yellow colors. And then, my grandmother said you could either use almonds or hazelnuts. And I know traditional biscotti is pretty much always almonds or even pine nuts, but I think the smell of hazelnuts for the holidays is just so rich and yummy. So we're doing 3/4 cup of chopped hazelnuts. It would not be Italian baking, let's say, if you did not add in some lemon citrus rind. It just gives it the brightest, freshest, zingy flavor that makes it so, so delightful. So when we grate the zest of one lemon. One more little mix. Festive, all the red and green candied fruit there. Okay, so this is very important. This is a very, very sticky dough. So we want to pop this into the fridge for about an hour and make it a little bit easier to work with. Okay, well, it's been an hour and the dough is nice and chilled, and get a look at this. It looks a little bit different now. So as you can see, there's a little bit of a sheen to the dough now, and it looks just a little bit more congealed. That means all the flavors are coming together. So we're going to divide the dough in half, and we're going to shape them into 2 oblong pancakes, which we'll eventually slice to create the biscotti. But again, this dough is incredibly sticky, so it's a little weird, but you have to do this step. I've got some butter here, and I'm literally going to butter my hands so this dough does not just stick to my fingers. So here we go. I feel like the sticky bandits from Home Alone. All right, in I go. So first, kind of shape it into a log. Okay, so these look pretty good. We've got our 2 oblong pancakes, and these will expand a bit in the pan too, so keep that in mind. I've got the oven set at 325 degrees, and the trick to cooking these is low and slow. This is not an 8-minute cookie. So into the oven they go. So I set a timer for 17 minutes. I'm going to rotate my cookies halfway through. My grandmother said to bake these for about 23 to 25 minutes. To be completely honest with you, whenever I have done that, they've always come out way underdone. I guess ovens have changed a lot in the last 60, 70 years, I don't know. But I've found something closer to about 35 minutes works for me. But you really want to keep an eye on these cookies. So I'm going to rotate them halfway through at 17 minutes and assess the situation and keep an eye on it. But you really want that golden brown color, and I'll show you what that looks like. Okay, so it's been pretty much exactly 35 minutes, and these look perfect. You see there's that golden color pretty much all the way across the top. You'll see it first around the edges, of course, but you really want this top to have some of that golden color. Otherwise, it's going to be too soft to slice. So we're going to let these cool a bit on the pan, then we're going to transfer them to wire racks, and then we're going to slice them up. Okay, so I let the biscotti cool in the pan for about 5 more minutes, and I've let them cool completely on these wire racks. We're slicing them now, so you really want them to firm up as much as possible. Therefore, you want them to cool as much as possible. So these feel ready to go. I'm going to transfer it to my cutting board. So this neat, it's like a little football or something. I've got my serrated knife. Let's see how we did. These are cutting nicely. And there you have it, a biscotti. Now, if I wanted to be a purist, I would put these back on a pan and pop them in the oven at 325 degrees for, I don't know, another 5 minutes or even a hair more to really crunch them up. But in complete honesty, I like them just like this. They're gonna firm up, naturally, dry out a hair in the house anyway. So you'll still get that crunch, but it's not that gum scratching crunch that you can get from biscotti when you twice bake them. So I'm gonna leave them just like this. Still perfect to dunk in my coffee. Beautiful. So we've got that perfect classic biscotti shape. Well, been working hard on these. I think it's time to try them out. Smells wonderful. Tastes even better. And you see, even just once baked, it still holds its shape after dunking in coffee. Thank you so much for watching. And as always, let me know if you tried this recipe. Send me photos if you do it. I'd love to hear. Take care.